Hey guys, welcome back to Knights of the World number 8. Today we have joining us Jeffrey J. Scott. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great today.
Good.
So,
Good. Glad to hear it.
so to kind of kick this interview off, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, some of the things you do for fun?
Well, I'm originally born and bred in New Jersey. I still live here in New Jersey. I've been a few places in the world, England, Scotland, through the Air Force. Retired police officer, and I turned about 5 years after I retired. I went into acting, voiceover work, and then I started to write a couple scripts, and then I did some directing uh, of two films, of two full length films, and then a couple short films.
So, what are some of the things you like to do for fun?
Well, for fun, I do like to write. I do like to work out a little bit. I do like to watch the older movies on the TCM channel, which is Turner Classic Movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a lot of good inspiration from those older films. And to watch some of the older films, you realize that things are the same as they are today, as far as like certain things that happen politically and all that stuff. So that's why I like to watch the older films, because not much has really changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that's really changed, that brought things to light, is that social media has brought these factors out more than before, only because of the social media spread of all the different sites, and
Mm-hmm.
you know doing things on video and camera, stuff like that. As far as other fun things to do, I like scuba diving. I like miniature golf. I don't play golf anymore, but I like my miniature golf. I like going to the shore, because I live near the shore area in New Jersey. So I just do fun things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Relaxation, retirement.
So, what are some of your favorite like classic movies?
Oh, some of the classics I like is like Casablanca is one of my faves.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Zhivago is a classic film to me now. That's, God, I don't know. The older version of Cleopatra with Rex Harrison and Elizabeth Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the film noir crime dramas back in the day too, that are on Turner Classic, stuff like that.
Because I know for us, we are for our school we're performing uh, play on our stage. Play. It's from basically based off the movie Gaslight.
Yeah.
So that's the one we're doing. So
Okay.
it's pretty fun so far.
I was only involved in one stage play in high school. It was called Almost Summer, where I was the stage manager.
Oh
It
really?
wasn't an acting role, but it was just being part of the crew. So I kind of enjoyed that and stuff. And the other senior class that I wasn't involved in, they did an old classic film, Guys and Dolls, which
Hmm.
is like a musical type thing, and that was pretty cool to work on.
I know we've done. I've done like I was a stage manager in 8th grade. I was part of the props crew last year, and now I'm acting and part of the props crew this year.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. So, do you guys have a like I notice a lot of high schools now, they have a lot of not a lot, but a lot of the high schools now, they actually have like TV studios where they do like real live TV shows over the web, as far as like news or what the news is for the day or current events.
Mm-hmm.
Does your high school have stuff like that or no?
I I know personally that our drama room doesn't have one,
Okay.
but I know that as far as I know, our school newspaper I think has one, or at least a space dedicated to filming, because they have
Okay.
like a whole screen in the background and a green screen in there.
Oh, cool.
So we sort of have a type of filming area, I guess.
And your show is done through the school, right?
No, ours is separate, but we still associated ourselves with the school.
Oh, okay. All right. So what else do you want to know?
So like, so what was the first ever production that you ever worked on?
The first ever production. It was a film called New Year's Eve, and I was a background. Are you talking about acting in or a
Just
background actor?
the first one you were ever involved in.
So it doesn't matter whether it's acting or background.
Not at all.
Background work I did was a film called New Year's Eve, and that was a very cool film to work on. It was a lot of celebrities in that film. Um, I actually crossed paths with Jessica Biel and Zac Efron on the set, and that was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
So, but I got to meet a lot of good people, and we actually the scenes that we shot a couple of them. I worked on this set a couple days as background. The one scene we did in New York City on the coldest night in February that you can imagine. I don't remember the year, but we actually went to Times Square in February to film part of the end scene of the movie. And it was so cold that we had 4 shifts of background people that were
Oh
bussed
wow.
up there and stuff because it got so cold that we had to, they had to come back, warm up, and the other crew went out. But that was one scene. And then the next day, it was a little bit nicer. We filmed it over out on the outside part of Lincoln Center, up by Central Park, or a couple blocks away from Central Park. Um, so that was to work on a set like that with so many different actors. It was really cool.
So what was like your favorite screen on screen moment? Like out of everything, what is the favorite moment you've ever had?
On screen, I don't know if there was a favorite on screen moment because I've been in quite a few independent films,
Mm-hmm.
but I think one of my funniest on screen moments is the other thing that I did is I used to do a lot of student films for different colleges in the area.
Mm-hmm.
One specifically was Rutgers University in New Jersey. And I met up with the woman that was in charge of the filming program, and I gave her my info and all that stuff. And they had a film program in their university.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave my info, my headshot, my resume, and all that stuff. And I started getting all these calls from these students wanting me in their film. So I said, okay, fine. And I did like 5 different roles for the students there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that I was in so many of their films was because they couldn't find any actors in their 50s and 60s to fill the roles that they were looking for.
Oh wow.
So that's why, and they had a book in the video office in the and it was like pictures and headshots of all the actors that they have, and I was like the only guy there except for one other. So once I started to spread the word that they were looking for older actors at the university for filming, then my job decreased a little bit more, which is fine because I'd rather other people get involved in it too, as far as acting.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually, Rutgers had a film festival of their own films at the end of the semester. And out of all the films that were done that semester, I was in 4 of them that were shown at the festival.
Oh wow.
And it was funny because showing the film, all right, I'm on the first film, and okay, so people see me up on the big screen. Okay, good job, or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then they roll a couple more films, and now I'm in the fourth film again. So now people are like, kind of like, okay, this is cool. He's helping out the students.
Mm-hmm.
Then they show a couple more films. Now I'm in the next film. Now I'm in three films at this film festival. Now people are starting to laugh a little bit that this guy is in all these films and stuff. So that was the funny experience of doing student films. But I've done quite a few of them. I've been all over. So,
Yeah, that
and I
that'd
got
be
to work on it.
hilarious because you're just sitting there, and just like, huh, that guy looks familiar.
Yeah, exactly,
And the next one,
exactly.
wait, oh, I know that guy. He was in the last one too. And that
Yeah,
just keeps going.
exactly.
So
So, and
like,
they were all different roles too. So
yeah.
it's not like I was like, playing the father role. I think one of them I was a doctor, and the other one I was a psychiatrist or something, or a therapist. So it was a variation of character acting in all the different roles.
So kind of like to, I guess, kind of segueing off of that. So you were talking about how like student films and stuff like that, and they're kind of learning the process. So what's kind of like the basic process you go through to finish a whole film?
From what aspect? As an actor or as a writer director?
Like as a writer and director.
Oh, well, first of all, of course, you have to have a script.
Yeah.
Uh, Second of all, before I even choose the actors, um, I scout locations of where my film is going to take place. And not only, and I scout those locations not only anytime during the day, but specifically when that scene is supposed to take place. The reason that I do that time wise is because I want to know what the area is like as far as traffic, noise, stuff like that. I don't want to go out there 7 o'clock in the morning and say, "Hey, this is nice and quiet here," but my film actually starts shooting at that location at 2 in the afternoon, and now I got cars and trucks passing by and all that because that plays hell on sound, the sound guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second thing is scouting location. Third thing is picking the actors. Some that I've worked with have been friends of mine in acting class. Others I have had auditions with that I held auditions in New York City, and I picked a couple of my actors from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you do that, then you have to have a. I not all filming does it, but I had a couple table reads where you get all the actors into one location in a room and you go through the script,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps purify um, the actor's rendition of what you want them to do. Any corrections, any accents, if you want them to throw an accent in, if they're eligible for it, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the table read, then you start working on the call sheets and location. You get your crew together, whether you're going to have a sound crew or a cinematographer, or if you're going to film it yourself, that's fine too. Editing. One thing I do stress for students, no matter what they do in college or in high school, that if you want to save a lot of money down the road, is learn how to edit your own films. You'll
Mm-hmm.
save as much as $700 to $800 if you know how to edit your own film. So that's one thing I suggest you do. That your fellow students do. Um, and then after all that puts together, then you meet at the set location, and you start your filming,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the process.
All right, because I've never really like heard the process like because I know some people have different things or it's like they already have this whole thing together and you never really hear it from people.
Well, you have to realize too is a lot of things are there's some differences between prepping for a full length feature film and then prepping for a short film. Like I slapped together a short film on a documentary type interview where I had a past life experience,
Mm-hmm.
and that short film was 15 minutes long. We actually filmed that at a location where I was doing another independent film.
Oh.
And I just threw it together at the last minute because one of the actors that I worked with, she was very good at what she was doing. And I wanted her to be the one that was interviewing me in my short documentary. Okay. So the
Mm-hmm.
house we were shooting at, we had access to the house all day and all night because it was like an Airbnb.
Uh-huh.
So after we got done filming the independent film during the day, then we did my little documentary part at nighttime. And it just so happened that the director of photography for the independent film also did my short film. So everything was like tied in a bunch right there. So that kind of worked out where you kind of combine things.
Mm-hmm.
So what else were you leading to on that?
So I kind of wanted to know, because earlier you were talking about like, oh, you saw Zach Efron and everything like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
have you ever like fangirled over like any person you've worked with or been around?
Have I what?
Like fangirled, like, oh my god, it's him.
Oh God. You know, I've if you ever go on my Facebook page or if you go on my website page and you look at all the celebrities I've met over the years,
Mm-hmm.
God, it's really hard to say. I guess one of my favorite people that I met, and I really, she's really adorable in person and stuff, and she's a great singer. Is a and she was also in quite a few TV shows. Her name is Kristen Chenoweth, and a really sweet person. Um, God, who else? Oh, it's Ian. There's just so many of them.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's just like and the older ones too, like people that you wouldn't necessarily know. There was an old show on TV years ago, a sitcom called F Troop, and Larry Storch, who played Corporal Agorn, he always used to mention Passaic, New Jersey, which is where I'm from. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize that F Troop was a show that took place back in the Wild West days.
Oh wow.
Okay, that's why it was called F Troop because it took place in a fort. Passaic wasn't even a town then. So for him to mention Passaic back in the Wild West days was like crazy. Um, the other one I met was Ed Asner. He was in a couple John Wayne movies.
Oh,
God, just so many really cool people over the years that I've met.
it's just too many to count.
Yeah, yeah. Um, are you familiar with Dee Snider from Twisted Sister?
um,
You ever hear?
I know the band. Like you're talking about the band, right?
Yeah.
I know the band. I don't know which one it is, but
Well, during my little career here, I also did a couple music videos
mm-hmm.
where I was a background person. And if you really want to see a pretty cool music video, look up Dee Snider Mac the Knife.
Mm-hmm.
Mac the Knife is an old Bobby Darin song. And I was lucky enough to get this job where I played a homeless person in the theater. And once you watch the video, you'll see there was different groups of people, different age groups in the theater for this supposed concert.
Mm-hmm.
And Dee Snider was there singing Mac the Knife. His son, Cody, is the one that directed the video.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to meet Dee afterwards, and we were talking back and forth, and I got to get a picture with him and stuff. And
Cool.
we were talking about the old days when there used to be a place in Passaic called the Capitol Theater. And it just so happens that I used to get in backstage once in a while just to hang out with the crew and all that.
Oh.
And they used to have rock bands in the summertime and the wintertime on the weekends. So a lot of the bands from the 70s, mid 70s and stuff like that, I got to see in person. And the only regret that I had back then was that I never got to take a picture with the bands that I saw.
Oh yeah.
That's why now when I meet a celebrity or if I am working with a celebrity, I'll ask them if I can get a picture with them. If they say no, that's fine. If they say yes, cool. But
Mhm.
if I told you all the bands that I had met back in the 70s, you would say, oh, that guy's full of it. He didn't meet
Yeah.
those people. But now I have proof that I met these people because I take pictures with them if I
Mhm.
can.
So kind of like get to a closing of it. I want to know what is one word that can describe you?
Giving.
Giving?
I'm a very giving person. Over the years, I was very giving as a police officer. I was very, I treated people the way I wanted to be treated. Um, I give a lot of my time to student films. A lot of times they'll say, "Well, here's $50, thanks for your time and all that stuff." If the shooting is local, then I don't mind. I'll just say, "Look, here, take the $50. Either put it towards your next film, or put it towards Crafties for the next film, or take the students out for lunch or something tomorrow."
Mhm.
I would rather them spend the money on something else rather than give it to me. Luckily, I'm financially stable enough where I can do that. But I just think giving is a very important part of the business.
Mhm. So what's some advice you could give to the people in the audience?
For directing and stuff like that,
Just in general as just you.
I gotta say, just if you treat people the way that you want to be treated, then everything will be okay. And if something sounds too good to be true, it is. So you got to be careful on that as aspect too.
Mhm.
So uh, that's about it, really. You just have to be nice to each other.
Yeah, that's a good message. I think everyone needs to learn from that. And
Yeah,
so I'd like to thank Jeffrey for coming out here and coming and being on the show. And I think he has something to bring that no one else has brought so far. And on the screen here are the two movies that he's done on Amazon Prime.
right.
And so here are the two movies. You can look those up, watch them, do everything about that. And I right here are our socials. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to us. And I hope that you comment because I bet Jeffrey would like to see the comments and see what you thought about him and what you think about this interview. And if you hit the like button, that means it shows that you support what we're doing, and we really like seeing support. So thank you again, Jeffrey, for coming out here, and I hope you guys have a good day.